All right, let's talk about the series finale. Hey, what's up, Nerd fam? This is your boy Gashawn. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. So today we're going to be talking about the series finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's also kind of going to be like a season review at the same time, obviously starting with what we just saw and like what I think about the overall show. So I think in this finale, it needed obviously to end with him being Captain America. I was never fond of that in the comics, not because of, oh, you don't want to see a black guy. It had nothing to do with that. He had tons of stuff with him as Falcon, and I felt like a lot of respect should have been put on the name of Falcon and him being his own person and not carrying on a mantle for which it didn't even seem like was right for him even in the show. So it was kind of like a forcing yourself into a place where the people who created the mantle didn't even want you. So I didn't really dig that, and I get that's something that people think it's like a powerful thing, but I feel like it's more powerful to have a character stand on their own 2 feet without the use of someone else's mantle. That's just me. But let me focus on the things that I actually did like about this series finale, which was the conversation that Falcon, or Captain America, we'll just say Sam, had with the senators and everybody who were going to make the decisions to, relocate people forcefully. So it was a very good point that he made, talking about, all right, what exactly was the problem that these terrorists had, right? Now, he was saying you didn't ask the questions why. You didn't ask why they were angry. You're just calling them terrorists, not understanding. There's a little bit of fallacy in that argument. One, it's true. You should be a little bit introspective and figure out why people are upset. However, Carly and her group, well, specifically Carly, wasn't just angry. What she was angry for made a lot of sense. But once she crossed over into killing innocent people, it stopped being like just this super righteous cause anymore. Like it was kind of a weird thing. Like you can't really jump over the killing innocent people thing. As a matter of fact, she was even willing to forcefully sacrifice the lives of the other flag smashers who were very much like, wait, hold on, I don't want to die. I don't want to be a martyr. But she was like, that's what we are. We're martyrs now. You know what I mean? So not necessarily so righteous. She wasn't really a good person. Yeah, she might have been fighting for a cause that actually made sense. But the means that she went by trying to achieve these goals weren't necessarily the best. And I think like Sam kind of glossed over that to make the point, right? And I guess that was the kind of thing for it. I like that there wasn't really like a happy ending for Bucky and this Japanese guy, because at the end of the day, who would be okay with that? Who would be okay with, even if you've been sitting here with me, eating food with me, and you killed my son? That there would be an issue, and I'm glad they didn't just show them hugging it out. I'm really glad that didn't happen, right? Because that would be, even if it's a comic, rather unrealistic and nonsensical, right? Batroc, I'm kind of mad that he's dead, right? That sucked. And Batroc, I mean, obviously I love his portrayal with George St. Pierre, but it was kind of weird to see him kicking Falcon's ass like that. But at the same time, I mean, he was going toe to toe with Captain America, Steve Rogers' Captain America, who was rather strong. So it was, the power scaling is kind of weird, but yeah, whatever. Like, they made him more major, and they made him have more of a grudge against Sam than I really understood, but whatever. He needs some type of big bad for him to be able to combat as well. I liked his ideology about being able to kind of straddle both lines in his head, saying, I know some people are looking at me kind of crazy right now, but I don't care. I got to do it for the people who are, who went through this before me. I get it. I'm gonna make a whole entire video talking about that. It's gonna accompany this, so I'm not gonna get too much into that. When it comes to Sharon Stone being the power broker, I thought that was very, very odd. Very odd. I thought that was this wasn't very creative, and I guess now no one knows. Like, literally, these characters were just outside of earshot of Carly and her, like, them revealing themselves to be the power broker. That was just, it was kind of weird. I thought it was kind of weak. And now she's still gonna be now. She has even more power. So is she gonna be a villain later on in another movie? Who knows, right? So it is what it is when it comes to that. I thought they would. I guess they're setting up also Torres to become the next Falcon. That's something that also happens in the comics as well. So I guess we'll see that. We've got John Walker. He's back. He came in first with his Captain America costume to help out and fight on his, on his run for vengeance, trying to kill Carly and stuff like that. Which also, I hate the fact that he's so reliant on the shield, just swinging it. Like, fight choreography was something that I'm a very big stickler of. You'll hear me talk about that a lot. And the choreography was kind of weird. Like, I think Winter Soldier probably got the best of it in this entire thing, and for good reason. But still, like, it was still kind of weak with that. But whatever. John Walker actually got the U.S. agent costume, which actually does look cooler. That costume does look cooler in black. So I'm wondering, they just recently announced it's probably going to be a Captain America 4 movie. I wish it wasn't done by the same people who are making this show, because these people don't really understand these characters as well as I like them to. And I'll get more into that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's probably going to show up in that too, just to try to help out, especially with Valentina, who, that weird line about, we don't need a Captain America, we need a U.S. agent, which for people who don't read the comic book would be very confusing, because isn't Captain America a U.S. agent? Like, they could have done a little better with it. Maybe he could have called himself that, or just a different line. Whatever. It is what it is. I thought the biggest thing for me, because a lot of people were like, oh, this is so much better than WandaVision. And I'm more of an action guy, and these characters I'm actually more fond of than the characters that were in WandaVision, save for a couple of them that were in there. So yeah, the way it began and like the way it was trending, I definitely liked better. But there were some characters they showed like some major disrespect to that I didn't like Lamar, Battlestar. I would have thought this series might have ended, let's just say, with him and Walker both getting the serum directly from Power Broker, like in the comics, and them being the main antagonists at the end, because that would have been cool. People who are considered like patriots, maybe getting tired by the way that their government is, handling things. Maybe they thought they were having a better way. Maybe them going outside the law was the best way to stop the flag smashers. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been cool, and it would have gave that character some pretty cool nuance, and he would have got a chance to actually kick ass instead of getting his ass kicked the entire freaking season, which I hated. He was just literally a plot device for John Walker. He was literally just a reason for him to put that little emblem on his shield and get angry and talk to his parents. Just another, used as a driving force, which didn't like that. But I didn't like that at all. Now, on to Isaiah Bradley. So, I actually love the fact that Isaiah Bradley was in the show. I really do love that he was in the show, because obviously it leads to like Eli Bradley, who, is going to be Patriot in the Young Avengers. I love that. I love that type of world building. But there were some injustices done to this character that people don't know if you haven't read. So, it made sense for him to be who he was and how he acted towards Falcon being Captain America, or wanting to do that, or even carrying around the shield, because of what he'd been through. He's looking at things through the eyes of trauma, and experiencing what he experienced, going to jail, that type of racism. I get it. It made sense. However, when they just had his way of talking about, oh, they don't ever want a black Captain America, didn't make any sense as per the story they had in the show. Because in the show, he never had the suit on, right? He was just a super soldier. So he wasn't a black Captain America. He was just a black super soldier. However, in the book, in Truth, Red, White, and Black, he actually steals the suit, puts it on while fighting in a war, and then once they rescue him from getting captured by the Germans, they put him in jail just for taking the suit. Like, everything else was fine, but you can't wear these colors. If they would have put that in the show, it would have made a lot more sense as to where he's getting, oh, they don't want a black Captain America, because quite literally, they demonstrate that in the book. But they did not do that here. It was a very missed opportunity. I mean, they could have even shown that flashback between him and Winter Soldier. It wasn't necessary, but they could have. But then, something very confusing, right? At the end of the series, they have Falcon, say, come with me, I want to show you something. And they show, they have this guy in the Smithsonian now. They have the Isaiah Bradley statue. Here's the issue with that. Number one, didn't he say that the government thinks he's dead? And if I read that little thing, it said Isaiah Bradley is. So it was saying that he was still alive. So aren't they supposed to think he's dead and want him dead if he was alive, because it'd be proof that they did all these secret experiments. Like, wouldn't they have asked Sam, how do you even know about this guy? Who told you about this? It seems that was a bit of a plot hole there. Also, how did Bucky even know where he was? Because even though Bucky saw him in Vietnam and fought him, how would he have kept track of where he was? It wasn't like, remember, he was under mind control. How did he even know that he was in the middle of Baltimore? It was kind of strange. Like, I felt like there was a better way to transition into that. Like, how did he, because Steve didn't know. The government didn't even know where he was. So how did Bucky randomly know that he was in the middle of Baltimore somewhere? Like, so he got his ass from Vietnam and has been tracking him all around the world just so he could one day show him, like, hey, there's a black super soldier, guys. Come on. It just seemed weird. But once again, I felt they should have done this better, because he even had like Captain America's old shield in the book, which is what Eli gets when he turns into Patriot. So he has like his own Captain America lineage, but without him having the suit. It's not there. It's just a super soldier thing. And I guess they can still make him that. He can still get the blood transfusion from him later to get into Patriot. That can still happen, of course. But it would have been better illustrated if they just kind of kept a little bit more to the source material. Honestly, it would have been like that. I like that they made Falcon, like Sam Wilson's portrayal had leading man qualities. I love that. They showed how good he is with like psychology when he's talking to Carly and stuff like that. But I hated how flippant he was when it came to like just being more obsessed with this mantle of Captain America and what it means versus like, I'm just gonna be my own man. Like, I'm Falcon. Make Falcon mean something. And I know to a lot of people who haven't read the comic, people are like, oh, that was just Captain America's sidekick. No, Bucky was his sidekick. If you read storylines like the Mad Bomb storyline, you understand that that's his best friend besides Bucky. Like, he helped train his replacement once. He actually wore the Captain America outfit before this a long time ago. He trusts him with his life. So there is so much importance, and even has some really cool storylines, like where he has to deal with like an alternate reality version of himself that died and had like foster, like almost like adopted daughters who are wearing like a different version of a costume. And I'm gonna do a video on that so you can see that. But he has some really cool storylines that we could adapt and even make some new ones to just further cement him as somebody who can stand on their own as Falcon. I actually would have appreciated that more. I don't care about putting characters into other mantles, whether they're black or not. I think it's lazy. Just make a character stand on their own. That's just me. That's just how I am when it comes to this. But I know that's what everybody wanted. That's where this show was leading to. So I guess by that, the show at least did what it promised to do, which was to get him into that role. Got it. Cool. So if that's what you wanted, all right. But for me, in terms of making Falcon stand out on his own and make it something like, something that he can just stand out, I didn't like that. I didn't like that they didn't do that, right? I like that they borrowed a lot from Ed Brubaker, like his run, but they kind of bastardized it as well, which you can see Ed Brubaker actually writes about. He actually didn't really appreciate what was going on with the show as well, because they borrow from the material, but they don't really respect it. And that's what happens, I guess, when they use the source material as like a jumping point for like a narrative, but not the opposite way around. And I guess we'll talk about that in another video. But overall, there was some entertaining parts to this series. It wasn't like a terrible, like everything was bad, but it had some potential to just go in a certain place had they just relied more on source material and still, put some messages in there. Also, the sister was kind of weird. The sister was kind of weird because, she went from thinking one way and Carly calling her, like for some reason, just calling her for no reason, and her saying, oh, they don't care about my world, so why should I care about theirs? Like, she was constantly very angry. And then when Isaiah Bradley says what he says and has that conversation with Sam, she's all of a sudden like, you won't let him get into your head? You were just thinking the exact same way. All of a sudden now it's whatever. It is what it is. He's a new Captain America, even though I wish they would just strengthen Falcon, because I've always been like that. And that's really it. Let me know what you think. If you love this series, you love the season, that's cool. I'm all down with that. I'm a bit different when it comes to that. I am a bit different. I expected a little bit different. Obviously, I'm a person who reads a comic and I have a little bit more respect for these characters, but I won't call it a terrible show. I just think they made a lot of bad decisions within this. But yeah, that's just me. Let me know what you think. Into the nerd.